Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Russia liberated or claims it liberated or occupied or took control of Luhansk. The Lugansk People's Republic is now in full control of the Russian Federation, according to the Russians. That is the first topic of this video. The second one is I will show you the interpretation coming from the enemies of Russia of this, Russian success and West insuccess, I would say, tragedy. What's next? Okay, they took control. What is next? That's the first one. The second one, I will show you how the Ukrainians reported a few days ago that they stopped the Russians' offensive in Sumy Oblast. And now they say that the Russians actually advance in Sumy. So what's going on in Sumy? I will show you a map to see where all this thing occurs. So let's start with the first topic. Russia today. Russia has full control of Lugansk Republic, governor said. The Lugansk People's Republic has been 100% liberated, Leonid Peshechnik has said. Now, where is this Lugansk Republic? But we have this one. Russia says Moscow now occupies all of Ukraine's Luhansk region, illegally annexed in 2022. So where is this located? This is the map from yesterday, the 30th. This is the map of Ukraine, and if you go down here, you're going to see Luhansk right here, with the city of Lugansk. So this is what they claim, the Russians claim, they liberated. There's still a little patch here on this map. This map is from yesterday. A little patch here that was not occupied, liberated, however you want to call it. So it seems like this is all done. Now, what's next? Well, you can tell what's next, can you? This right here is the Oblast of Kharkiv or Kharkov. The Russians are going to take over Kupiansk, that's for sure, right there. I mean, that's a direct indication that they have that goal. And if you look at the north, they have something going on towards the city of Kharkov. Why do you think they do this? The Russians claim that they would like to have a buffer zone, which is, depending on the Ukrainian artillery coverage. So if the Ukrainians have 60 kilometers range, the Russians will go to about 100-kilometer range. They will push them so far that they cannot hit the Russian territory. And what's in between the so-called buffer zone will be Ukrainians living their lives, no military over there, no Ukrainian military over there, but is keeping the Russians safe in Russia. So it's only logical to conclude that they will keep going, because here is where they say they want this border to be set, right here. They say, these are the key words, they say. Now, if you want that, imagine that you go about 100 kilometers, you're going to be around here. But I don't think that's all they want. I think they will want more. And the same in here, because the Ukrainians or NATO conducted an offensive on Kursk, if you remember. And some troops are still in Kursk. Some Ukrainian troops, according to the Ukrainians, are still present in Kursk region. So the Russians will definitely create a buffer zone in here, as long as these guys are capable of hitting with their artillery. Now that's kind of like, I would tell you, it's good for the Russians, but what are you going to do with the drones? I read an article this morning where they said the Ukrainians use the drones 1,300 kilometers inside Russia, attacking and supposedly hitting twice a Russian weapons factory. And the Russians claim one person was killed. Now, what are they going to do with that? You got missiles that are going to fly to Moscow. If they want the missiles to fly that way, they call them drones. All right, so that's probably telling us what's going to be next. It seems like it's a fact. And I'm quoting, just 2 days ago, a report came in that the territory of the Luhansk People's Republic has been fully liberated, 100%, just 2 days ago. And it's on the 30th. This map is from the 30th. And as I indicated here, they're not updated their map. Right here, they still had this little portion. According to Associated Press, these guys did it, illegally annexed in 2022. Well, it was a referendum. Actually, there were two referenda. One was if they want to leave Ukraine, and the other one is if they want to join Russia. The people voted. In Kosovo, it was not the people who voted for its so-called independence, because if you call that independence, then this is double independence. And we the people, right? Self-determination, correct? I know the narrative goes that the Russians did that under the threat of go and vote the way I tell you. And I said this before, you don't need to do that. You just need to count the votes. Like in America. You don't need to make the people, you don't have to show up at their houses. You just let them vote. Let them vote with the electronic machines. And then, you just count the votes and someone will win. All right. So that's the first one. But then we have this article from Russia Today, Lugansk People's Republic liberated. How it happened? Well, you know how it happened. They went forward. That's all. What can you do? This is the territory right here. They claim that right here is already covered. No problem. Let's move on. Kremlin still wants to destroy Ukrainian state and subjugate Ukrainian people. This is the response to this, full control. And this comes from the jackals from the Institute for the Study of War, who, I think, they make a confusion. They confuse the Russians, or take the Russians as being the guys in Israel. They should say that to Israel, not the Russians. Because that applies more to those guys than to these guys here. Who subjugates the Palestinians? Who takes territories from other countries surrounding their country? Before these guys, which are the Russians, even moved a finger. I mean, after all, we have 1970s, 1960s, 1990s, and we can go on and on. So what do we have here? This Institute for the Study of War, the director, her name is Kimberly Kagan. She's Jewish. Her husband, Mr. Kagan, I don't know if it's Robert Kagan or the other one, Wilhelm Kagan. They're both Jewish. They're two brothers married. One of them is married to Miss Kimberly Kagan, and the other one is married to, guess what, Victoria Nuland. All these four are Americans. So they write they love Russia. Why? Because Putin kicked them out. Not them, but relatives. And they cannot suck dry Russia anymore. The Kremlin continues to publicly declare territorial claims that go beyond the already occupied. The Institute for the Study of War, respected think tank, has reported that these statements indicate Moscow's unwavering goal to destroying the Ukrainian state and subjugating the Ukrainian people. Okay, if this is the logic, then I would like to know why we don't use the same logic in the case of, let's say, American invasion of Iraq and subjugating their people. Oh, no. They brought freedom and democracy. My bad. Then, let's say, Afghanistan. And so on. We can go to Syria, we can go to others. Remember, the American troops were illegally stationed, occupying the northeastern part of Syria for about 10 years or so, even more. Remember? War on ISIS, and they forgot to leave. Where is home? We forgot. We don't know the way back. Anyway, and now they got that guy, the reformed jihadist, in charge, who's going to give Syria on the silver plate to whom, Institute for the Study of War relatives. So here you have these guys claiming that Russia will do that, but we do not do that. We do not do that. We are involved, they, because we made the confusion like we are America. I don't know. It's more than one America. That's one America. This second America is more than one America. So just so you know. And we are not friends. They use us as bitches. Got that? So if you go by that thing, we have another guy who has bigger skeletons in the closet. All right, let's move on to the next one. Next one is, this is an article from today, and let's read it from Ukrainska Pravda, the Ukrainians, right? Tuesday, 1st of July. General Staff shows Russian advance on maps in Sumy Oblast for the first time since February. Right? So they show it right there. And they say that on July 1st, for the first time since February, the General Staff's operational maps of the front line showed Russian advances in Sumy Oblast, North Slobozhanщina front. So that is, why did I pick this one? Because I'm going to show you another article coming from the Ukrainians. They're talking about this area right here. Ukraine, Sumy Oblast, Kursk. All right, and you have in this area, the Russians have been advancing here because I was covering this day by day. They were advancing. These guys are lying. Oh, let me show you something else. This is an article from the 26th of June. So 26th of June is before 1st of July, correct? Correct. From the same outlet. This is what they claimed. Ukrainian forces have halted Russian advance in Sumy Oblast. Ukraine's commander. They announced it on Thursday, 26th. But then guess what? On Tuesday, they say it shows Russia from the first time since February. No, you said you just stop them right here. The commander-in-chief, halted the advance of Russian troops in the border, stabilizing the front line. You got that? So they are lying, and this is what I learned through reading the Ukrainian media outlets, the Russian media outlets. I found this out. I mean, I learned a lot, but related to the issue. They all lie. It's not something I found out now, but I found out the proportion between the lies and the truth. And usually the Russians lie 2-1. So 2 lies for 1 truth, something like that. And the Ukrainians lie kind of like 3-1. This is an average. I made it as a study. And I believe myself because I am, accredited. I have credentials. And I'm not a baboon. So I got to understand by a pattern about 3-1, the Ukrainians. Or, for instance, when they say, I'm the Ukrainians, and say, the Ukrainians advanced 3 miles. That's why I made it in 3. 3 miles. They probably advanced 1. Got it? So that's 3-1. If they overemphasize it more than that. The Russians say, we advanced 2 miles. Probably they advanced half of it, 1 mile. They're not going to say 3 miles and they advanced 1. Actually. So that's the way. Or the Ukrainians claim the Russians advanced, 1 mile. Probably the Russians advanced 3 miles. And when the Russians say, well, the Ukrainians advanced only 1 mile. Probably the Ukrainians advanced 2 miles. So that's what it is. So the same here. And another thing is, patience is still a virtue. Wait a little bit. The Ukrainians, when they come and say the front is dynamic, or the situation is tense on whatever front line, you understand they're fucked. That's what you have to understand. Or they say we stabilized this, or we repelled this, or we liberated, or we did this to the Russians. Probably it's the opposite. And in 2 days, in 48 hours, you're going to find out this. Actually, the Russians started advancing 2 minutes ago. No, they do this as damage control 5 days ago in 26th or whatever, telling you that, oh, we stopped them. And when I made a video on that one, I said, probably the Russians are coming over a Red Rover in high speed, and these guys have to do damage control, telling you, no, we stopped them. And here is the article, telling us that actually, again, a little lie, not a big lie, actually they just started. No, the full thing probably was going on for some time. I covered it, and the Russians claimed daily, taking this, not maybe daily, but at least if I make an average, 1 or 2 towns a week in Sumy Oblast. Thank you very much for being with me again today. The Russians will not create a buffer zone. I don't think they will subjugate the Ukrainian people. And always when you say this, ask whose fault. And if they own a mirror, they would find out immediately whose fault, the main one. And that is obviously NATO's attempt to destroy Russia and advancing towards the Russian border. That's a fact. And if you think you have the right to do that, then the Russians also have the right to bring their missiles and whatever they want, let's say, to Mexico. All right? And if you say good luck to that, okay, Cuba. And you won't say good luck with that either. Or Nicaragua. These are friendly countries. Or Venezuela. Do you think the Americans will just stay idle and say, okay, let them do that. Yeah, that's fine. Do you think they're going to do that? Crocheting? No, they won't. They will be very upset, even though the Russians will say, we didn't break any law. Well, our sphere of influence, you are threatening us, our national security, we're going to hit you back hard. China. Remember? That's what they're going to do. Thank you very much for being with me again today. The Russians will go on and on. Ukraine will be a no nation or will be controlled by the Russians. They're not going to subjugate them. What, do you think these guys are in the Golan Heights or in Gaza? No, we're not like that. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.